Well, hello and welcome to another awesome episode of Real Action. My name is Sophie Musumeci. If we haven't met, I'm really looking forward to meeting you. I'm the CEO and founder of Real Entrepreneur Women, Real Deal in-person mastermind and networking community. Welcome. And I'm very excited for this topic for a number of reasons, but mainly because of who the presenter is for this month, Bianca Van Riet from Be Your Truth. I'm going to introduce you in just one sec. But first, let me tell you about this topic for the month of August.
Yeah, August.
And we are going to be talking around, so the month is all about how to build unconscious trust. Big juicy topic, right? Because building unconscious trust with customers and clients is the key to having a successful business. Because when someone trusts you, they are more likely to want to work with you, buy your service, buy your product. We talk about this in Real Entrepreneur Women's. When they know, like, and trust you, you'll do anything for them. And this is when they become raving fans. They'll support your ideas and they'll come back again and again and again to work with you or buy your product or buy your service. So let me introduce you to Bianca. If you don't know Bianca, Bianca is the community leader with Geraldine in Manly. Bianca is the CEO and founder of Be Your Truth Coaching, which is a children's and adults mindset coaching company. And she is a master life coach. But most importantly, last year in 2018, Bianca won the Real Entrepreneur Women's Community Leader of the Year award. Was the first person ever in my life to say that she's got my back. And this year in 2019 was recognised as one of Australia's top 50 small business leaders by Inside Small Business. Plus, she's NLP practitioner. She's been a life coach since 2010, and a whole heap of really cool stuff that she's done with children and kids. And she runs workshops as well. But anyone who's met Bianca will absolutely agree with me that Bianca is incredibly has high integrity. She's super lovely. She will go above and beyond for all of that she loves, including our community. She's well trusted, respected. She's a massive leader and a huge reason why the Northern Beaches has been so successful in our growth. And she's ridiculously cheeky. So Bianca, I'm going to hand over to you and let you kind of take over. Just fly questions at me. And remember, there'll be a little download and some actions for you as well. But have fun with this month, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Sophie, so much for that amazing introduction. And welcome, everyone. So I'm just quickly going to share my screen and bring up the slides. Let's make sure I can do this. Beautiful. So welcome to this month's Real Action about how to build unconscious trust. Now, what is unconscious trust, you might be thinking? Well, it really is about communication. And when you think about business, the key to business is making sure that you have the correct communication with your clients. Now, we quite often think that communication is just about what we say, but it's so much more than that. It's the words we use, it's our tonality, and it's also our physiology. You can see with the breakdown down below, like our words only make 7% of our communication. Tonality is so key. Like if you were trying to talk to someone and you go, hi, and they go, hello. Will you reply to them in that sense? You can hear the tonality is so important. And the physiology, it's actually the way we hold our body. It's the way we actually move it with the person that we're talking to, which is really the highest bit of communication. And it's the tonality and physiology that are two unconscious responses that can be considered as a direct message from the speaker's unconscious mind. I'll get a bit more into it in a second, but I just want you to think about that. So when it comes to unconscious trust is about building, like as I said, Sophie said before, it's so key to your business. Like if your clients don't trust you, they're unlikely to buy from you. They're unlikely to share information. They'll definitely not become raving fans, and they won't be back for more. And a lot of us know unconscious trust as rapport. It's just another word, but rapport is when we have that unconscious trust with a client. So when we look at creating unconscious trust and how to build it, it's done through a process called matching and mirroring. And matching and mirroring is about where we use the same words as others. We might match their tonality. We might match their physiology, and that's like do it exactly like them. So we're matching, like go hand gesture to hand gesture as if we were doing the same hands. We're both moving the right hand. Or you can do it through mirroring, which is the opposite. It would be as if you were looking in a mirror. And matching and mirroring is often unconscious behavior. It's an unconscious behavior. And when you notice that you are matching and mirroring a client or anyone actually, you notice that you might be doing the same gestures and you're doing it without actually thinking about it. But when that starts happening, it means you have that unconscious trust in place. And because it shows that the person is comfortable with you, they trust you, and you have rapport amongst each other. With practice, this definitely becomes an unconscious thing for when you're starting to do it for the first time with clients. But with the people in your life, the people that you're most comfortable with, you're probably doing it already without even realizing. And it's not just the physiology, it's also the words we're using. So by adopting someone else's physiology or tonality, or even the words that we use, what we in effect are doing is we're stepping into their world, and we then can get a better idea of what they are experiencing. Instead of just assuming I know what's going on with them, you step into their world to get a better feeling. It also shows a willingness to understand someone and to genuinely connect with them. And as I said before, it can be both verbal and non-verbal. And to become an expert at it, you actually need to start consciously practicing. I know that I've practiced this for many, many, many years, and I now do it unconsciously. And it's other people sometimes point out to me that I'm doing it, and I'm not even aware of it anymore. But the other part to unconscious trust is communicating to people or clients or customers in their preferred language styles, which is either visual, which is about how sight is like how things look for them. Auditory, it's about how things sound. Kinesthetic, which is just about feeling and touch. And auditory digital, which is that internal dialogue that we have. So let's get a little bit more into matching and mirroring to start with. How to match and mirror. Now, the first one I would suggest is just go out there and observe. Become aware of matching and mirroring in others. And it's quite often easier to see it in other people than it is when you're wanting to do it yourself. So switch on those little filters so that you can see what's going on. You might even want to make note of doing this in your own interactions. And so this is where you become aware of adopting similar postures to the person that you're speaking to, or maybe it's adopting their tonality or repeating certain words that might be their favorite. So if you're talking to someone and they relate to the word, say, awesome, and you're going, oh, don't you think this is wonderful? They'll go, yeah, maybe. But again, don't get too hung up on the words. It's more about the tonality and physiology. But obviously, when you're talking on the phone to someone you can't see their physiology, tonality becomes really important, and then the words. The big thing here is be subtle. I've seen people practice this, and they actually like awkwardly push themselves into another person's same position. So it could, when I say subtly, it can be things like, if you're talking to someone and they're sitting on the edge of their chair and leaning forward, whilst you talk to them, just gently move forward. If maybe they're holding a pen or something in their hand, you might choose to pick up that pen as well. If they have a hand somewhere, you might choose to do that as well. But do it just really slowly and subtly. If you look at this picture here, you can see that these women are actually what we call matching each other. So they both have their right arm out in a hand gesture, and they have their left arm crossed over each other, even though they're looking at each other. And that's where they're matching each other. Now, to know if you have gained someone's unconscious trust, i.e. that the rapport is there, what I always say is, after doing a matching for a little while, is change the gesture, just subtly. Like, say, for example, you were both sitting forward in the chair and you feel things are going really well. You might be talking at the same speed as them, same tone, pitch and all the rest. If you just suddenly lean back, or maybe changed your hand gesture, or put your hands in your lap and they follow you, guess what? You have that unconscious trust. And now is the time to start getting more into business. So generally when I meet a client for the first time, or even every time a client comes into a coaching session, I always ask them how they are. I know when I get to know them a bit better, I will talk about things that they have, what are their interests. And that's just building their trust so that they can feel comfortable in the coaching sessions with me. Sophie, is this making all sense in the meantime?
Absolutely. I'm sitting here making notes. I think this is definitely something that I am now doing a lot of. And I was visualizing a meeting that I had with someone where I did that unconsciously and they moved as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great. This is awesome.
Yeah, so these are the little keys that you know that they're going through. So we're looking at matching and mirroring, and now you can there see Will and Kate. They're actually mirroring each other. And that was, if they are to turn around and look at each other, it would be like they're looking in a mirror. So things that you can match and mirror can be postures, it can be gestures, it can be facial expressions and blinking, and it can even be your breathing. Like if someone's breathing high and fast, you might want to breathe high and fast. It's also a good tool that if someone is maybe breathing high or fast and they're feeling a bit anxious, get into the breathing with them. And then as you slow your breathing down, they will more than like, and that unconscious trust is coming in, they will generally slow down as well. So if you have a bit of a nervous client that's about to invest in a lot of money with you, that's one of the things you can do. The other one is your tonality. So it's your voice. It's about the tone. So if someone speaks really, really high and really, really fast, and that maybe their words are very cut off, but they're loud, and like they go, hey, how are you? You know, like you go up to them. Sorry. Say that's what they are. And then you go up to them and you go, hi, how are you? They go, oh, no, I'm great. I've had this really great thing and I've been looking at your product. Oh, yeah. So what is it that you were interested in? You can hear there's no rapport there.
Yeah.
Same as the other way.
Yeah.
But we all talk in our own speed and our own, and our own tone. And it's so easy just to bring that voice up and down where required. And then, as I said, you know, the words can be things like keywords that they might use. You can talk about common experiences and any associations that you might have of things in common. Like if you see someone's got divine shoes and you like shoes, comment about their shoes. You can talk about shoes. It's simple little things. And also certain phrases. So we're going to look at phrases when we look a little bit more into our people's identities. But you can start using phrases with them that they might use. So those are just some really high level key things to look at matching and mirroring. And it's something I would really suggest that you practice. You might start it off with, practicing on your family and friends and then see how you go. Because the more you practice this, the better you become. But as I said, it's so important that you do it subtly because you don't want them to think, what is she doing? So the next part of that communication is our language styles. The thing is, we all have different language styles, and this really influences the way that we communicate with others and how we behave. But the mistake we quite often do is we communicate in our own language rather than adopting the client's style. So when we can identify a client or potential client's preferred language style, we will be able to, build that unconscious trust. The sell will become easier, but also you can also pick it up through people's physiology, believe it or not, and also listening or reading to the words they use. A great one is if you've been texting someone, go read what their text messages say. I am, and you can also have ones that are quite close. So I am predominantly auditory and kinesthetic. And I have a friend who is very auditory as well. And when I go through and look at my text messages to him, we quite often will talk about sounds good, let's play it by ear, all things that are auditory, and those are the words that he uses. And so let's look into this. So visual people. Visual people, they tend to stand out of the crowd. They're always immaculately groomed because appearance is important to them. For them, they could also wear bright colors, but they will breathe from the top of their lungs. So it's very shallow breathing. They're generally really organized. And another key is they tend to sit forward with a very erect posture. And for them, when you're putting through a proposal or you're talking to them about, potentially, closing off a sale, you want to ask them how things look to them, because they need to see something in order to actually be convinced. So if you're talking to someone who's visual, and you might be talking to them over the phone, you may need to send them an email to follow up, or give them a link to your website, or send them a little video so they can actually see it, or better yet, FaceTime them or do a quick Zoom call like this. They tend to memorize by seeing pictures, and they're less distracted by noise. They actually won't notice noise around them. They can get very bored by long verbal instructions, like keep it short, keep it sharp, give me lots of pictures to look at. Like, in fact, if you look at their notes quite often have like mind maps all around it, and that they draw things instead. And for them, it's about how your product or service looks. And you might say, well, what do you mean how my service looks? It's like, well, what does it include? What are the people who have used your service? Can I go look at the results that those people have achieved? And 40% of our population is actually visual people. So a lot of people are actually visual. Some of the words and phrases that stand out that you can start looking for are things like, look. They'll use these words a lot, and like look, envision. Could be things could look foggy to them, that they need to see the picture. It's how that things appear to them. And they will say things like, I'll go see to it, or I've got a mental picture of this in my mind's eye, or it looks like, or I'll go see to it. And they can also get tunnel vision or create that mental picture. So notice how all these words are very, very much visual creative words. And that's where you can go and find out what their style is. So if you were talking to someone that was visual and you're looking at closing off a sale, you wouldn't go, so how does this sound to you? Does this feel like something that you would like to do? They would just go, well, I don't know. Like, but what do you mean you don't know? Does this not sound like a good idea? And they'll just be going, well, no. Now, you can throw that same idea to them, and you can say, well, how does this look to you? Can you see yourself doing this? Or if I could show you an attractive way that you could potentially achieve X, Y, Z, would you at least look at it, wouldn't you? And suddenly you're talking their language. Suddenly they feel that have this unconscious connection with you, because you know what? You understand them. And then you could close off. And if they're going, yeah, this is great. And then you could just close off, well, if this looks good to you, then let's go ahead and focus on getting the paperwork in. Very, very simple. Next one is auditory people. So auditory people like to talk to themselves. I love talking to myself. Seriously, I'm glad I work from home, because I'm sure I otherwise would have got locked up. Very easily distracted by noise. I am someone that if I'm presenting, and how you get those water coolers that they glug through. Like, I remember before presenting to rooms, like a room of over 150 people, and in the background I kept hearing this glunk, 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 glunk. I just couldn't do it. It throws me completely off. So got to be aware that auditory people are distracted by noise. They repeat things back easily, and they tend to breathe more from the middle of the chest. They have a more melodic tone of voice, and then memorize the steps and procedures and sequences. That's how they learn. Tonality of the voice and words can be so important to you, and they like to be praised by words quite often. So it's important that you praise them. They like music, and 20% of the population are made of auditory people, and this is also combined with what's called internal dialogue or auditory digital people. So for an auditory digital person, words would be like they use with like listen, sounds, deaf, utterly, question, hear, tune in, tune out. They can, use words like silence. As I say, play it by ear is such a common word for them, or sounds good. Clear as a bell. There must be to tell you the truth. I'm so good at saying. I'm always saying that. And I had one person that always used to say to me, "What do you mean you haven't been telling the truth until now?" So pay attention to. It's loud and clear. We can get tongue-tied. So you can see these words. They're not that hard to actually identify. You just have to be aware of them. And that's what I'm saying is like the awareness comes first. And you can also use these, obviously, when you communicate them through emails or any other way. So you would say to them, again, you wouldn't talk about how does this feel to you. You know, if you would maybe say, if I could tell you a way in which you could achieve ABC, would you at least want to hear? You at least want to hear about it, wouldn't you? And if this sounds good to you, we'll go ahead and discuss how to set up an account. Next is kinesthetic people. Now, kinesthetic people, it's all about feeling and touch. They tend to move a lot slower and they breathe from the bottom of their lungs. It's almost like you can see their stomach moving up and down when they're breathing. They tend to speak a lot slower. For them, it often decides upon gut feeling. It has to feel right for them. And they're really interested in how other people feel. They can also be those people that it might feel like they're invading your space because they tend to stand really close to you. And they respond so well to physical touch and rewards. They love that hug, but obviously don't go hug a client if you don't know who they are first. Get that rapport going. It's nothing worse when someone is not kinesthetic and you go up to hug them. And have you done that before, Sophie?
Well, I hug guests sometimes, but they like being hugged sometimes.
Yeah, no, admitting I do as well, but I actually do ask. I go, do you mind if I hug you? I'm a hugger. And they'll go, oh, okay. And if I see their face go, oh, and I go, no, don't worry about it.
If they see me, because like, when I go to a meeting, I'll like see, the members behind the scenes, I'll give them heaps of hugs because I love hugging you guys because I'm definitely kinesthetic. And then like if there's a guest there and then we kind of go, oh, you want a hug? And then, so it's a bit funny, but yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. And again, kinesthetic people make up 40% of the population. So they've got a high percentage there as well. Words and phrases that kinesthetic people will use is the word touch, throw out, turn around, get a handle of, tap into, make contact, get hold of, slip through. Phrases they could use is boils down to, the actual motion of boiling. They can talk about pain in the neck, smooth operator, let's go pull some strings. That person has such a stiff upper lip. Let's do this hand in hand. So those are all the words, those are the kind of phrases they would use. And the way to close with them would be like, if I could help you get a hold of a concrete way in which you can achieve this, would you at least get a feel for it, wouldn't you? And then closing, you could say, well, if this feels good to you, we'll go ahead and handle setting up an account for you. So you can see again, it's about talking in their style. Now, I don't want you to get overwhelmed yet. You might be thinking, how am I going to remember all of this? Let me just finish up with the last one, and then I'm going to give you some tools around this. Last one is auditory digital people. These are people who have that internal dialogue, the self-talk that goes on, and they like to talk a lot to themselves as well. So it's very similar to auditory people. For them, things need to make sense. They love their lists. They will go through all the points. They will tick all the boxes. They love systems and procedures. Facts and figures are so important to them. They're not going to go off hearsay. So when you are selling them something, you're going to have to really explain to them everything about that product or service, because that's how they're going to make that decision. They're very logical and practical. They like clear, direct instructions. Like, don't get too fancy. Don't go all over the place. And they're quite often linked to other they'll quite often exhibit other characteristics of other language styles. So you could be like, for example, auditory digital and auditory, or you can be auditory digital kinesthetic, or auditory digital visual. the thing is that whilst you have those visual components, you still need all those facts and figures. You need to really go through all the details. You need to do your research. And they like systems and procedures. Like, give them those boxes to go through. They really, really enjoy it. Words that are important for them is experience, understand, think, decide, consider, research, learn, perceive, facts, distinct, knowing what I do. So you talk about the word knowing. Research shows, facts tell me, there is a distinct difference, for example, and experience has proven. So those are the kind of phrases they would use. And again, to close with them, you would say something like, if I could give you facts to help you understand a way that you could achieve X, Y, Z, you would at least consider it, wouldn't you? And if you know this is for you, we'll go ahead and process payment for you. So really important that you go through all those words with them so that they can get a clear understanding of it. Now, with this all, the one thing is that people who are like each other. It's very similar. It's very simple. When we have a certain, like, when people are auditory and they both start talking, say, in the same language, they're not even aware they do it. They just feel like, wow, I really connect with you and I feel like I've known you all my life. You probably have that same internal representation. A person can also have more than one internal representational or in one kind of personality style. So it could be, like for me, I'm very high in both auditory and the kinesthetic. And it can also change depending on what you are currently going through in your life. So if you perhaps are studying or maybe setting up a new business and you're really needing to get into the details of a business and understanding things, you might tend to go for a period of time more auditory digital. I knew a girl who was very kinesthetic and she then got a job in a contact center. What was she doing all day? She was talking to people. And when there's a test you can do, a little quiz, when she redid it, it actually turned out that she was suddenly very strong auditory. But that was just because her environment had changed, and because kinesthetic people's more about touch and feeling, and she didn't have the interaction through what she was doing. She had tapped more into her auditory style. However, that was not her dream job. Her dream job very much was a kinesthetic style role. And so she became a massage therapist. Boom, what happened? Kinesthetic went really high. So our careers quite often will also link us to our language style. And that's why, if you think about what I do, I feel into what people are feeling, and I have to also listen to what they are saying. Yes, I like the visual as well, but it's not that important for me. So with massage, definitely on your hands. If think about photographers, very often they will be visual. So those are the key things to it. And as I said, you can change. Now, if you're meeting someone for the first time and you have no idea, I would suggest using an array of these words. So use a combination, especially if you're in your marketing content or the first time you are talking to people or you're getting a bit about your business out there. When we are actually writing our content, we default to our own language. What you've done then is, you've potentially locked out between 40 to 80% of the population when you just talk in your own style, which is a big number. So make sure that you use all four styles. Keep it short, and then you can always have at the bottom more details, or saying, for further details, click on X, Y, Z. And for auditory digital people, they will be in touch then. They will want the details. So make sure you've got that short version, because people who are visual, they will get lost after a period of time. If that post is too long, if there's too many words to it, they switch off. Auditory people are a bit better, but they'll switch off as well. And kinesthetic, that they just want to feel into it. They don't want to hear all about it. They don't want to read about it. They want to see it, like they want to experience it. So it's also very important to know that you need to do this when you are with your written communication as well. Sophie, any questions?
No, I love this. I've done this a few times, and I think you're so right. Like, and as we evolve and life and journey and the work we do tend to adopt new ways. So, yeah, I love this. And if you can really understand who you're talking to, and then you can use their language back to them, the ability to connect with them in a genuine way is so much easier and quicker as well. So, you know, really kind of, if this is the first time you've ever heard this before, then really take some time to figure out who you are, and then start to figure out, you know, what are those key words that you're hearing from your clients, and then look at how you could potentially use more of that language in your marketing as well. Love it, Bianca.
Absolutely. And if anyone wants to connect with me or need some support on this, you know, go book in a free 30-minute discovery session with me. There's you'll be getting this in your handouts. You can also find me all over social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can email me or just call me. I'm auditory, so I love to chat. Like my friends, they tend to text me, and then I'll leave little voice memos back to them because it's so much easier for me to communicate that way.
Yeah, that's how we communicate, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. I highly recommend though you take Bianca up on that session though. Like it is so important to have. So yeah, take her up on that offer.
Thank you.
Are we done?
We're done. Yes, we're done.
Oh, amazing. I could just sit and listen to Bianca all the time. I find this all the time with the real action topics. It's so nice because I get to learn and or revisit topics again. So ladies, you now have been armed with some really great information. Go and figure out what your communication style is. And we're going to have some questions and stuff for you to use in your meetings when we're doing the real action mastermind sessions. So we're going to be going a bit deeper on some of these and working out what each other are as well. So massive thank you, Bianca. Can you come off shared screen for a sec?
Yep.
Stop sharing. A massive thank you to Bianca for being the co-presenter in this month's real action topic, and we will be live in the inner circle to answer all your questions as well later in the month, so be prepared for that as well. So get going. Awesome. Right, thank you so much, Bianca.
My pleasure, and thank you for allowing me to do this real action this month. It's been a real pleasure.
My pleasure. Can't wait to talk to you soon so we can talk about how
you feeling,
how I'm feeling, because I'm very kinesthetic, but I'm actually very visual, and I think I'm becoming more visual with the more work that I do online, because I'm having to really think, like I'm having to visualize things as opposed to touch, and you know that. So that's also morphing for me. Anyway,
exactly. I notice how Sophie she quite often sits in the front, like at the edge of her chair. So that's the visual clue there.
Yeah. Always. And when I'm talking with my clients, I'll say things like, you know, what I'm seeing for you is, like, I literally get visuals in my head of things that I'm seeing for them. And then, so yeah.
Awesome.
We're going to have fun this month with this topic. So let us know in the inner circle as well. Once you've watched this, drop into the inner circle and let us know. Say, hey, I just did the training. What did you think? Share what you loved from Bianca. And then tell us, what are you? Do you think you are auditory, visual, kinesthetic, or
auditory digital?
That one.
Yeah.
All right, ladies, have a fabulous month. Bye.
Bye.